All right. Hey YouTube, I'm Lucky, and in today's video, I'm going to give you a mini guide as to how we beat this boss. We beat the boss twice now. We beat it with our main team. We got World's 36th, I believe, and then after that, we beat it with two others. So we did like a little LFG pickup, picked up two peeps, and beat it. So we have a pretty good idea of how to beat this now. We've beaten it twice. And this is the strat we're using right now. Now, keep in mind that day two, this is day one, but day two, week one, week two, week three, strategies will be way more developed. But a lot of you are going to try and beat this with contest on, which has been extended to 48 hours. And I hope that this helps you because this is how we beat it. And when we got our rhythm down, we actually beat it kind of easily. It felt kind of easy, felt kind of free. So what we did was we had four people assigned to do like the call outs and work together and rotate that stuff around. And I'm going to have Dwayne instruct some of that. In terms of our builds, though, before we jump in, I would always rally and put on double rocket reserves. Where I was the one using G-Horn, and everyone else was using Izanagi's Burden and then legendary rockets. So keep that in mind. That was really good. I also chose to use Gnawing Hunger over Funnel Web because it had a little more range, and I could still get the void benefits and stuff. Um, Also, I'm not sure, but are these fragments available for anyone now? Available at the tower, Dwayne?
Yeah, it should be.
If that's just available for anyone, you should just go grab those because these are super OP. You can literally have Devour on your Hunter now. So this would definitely greatly help you in your efforts to beat this. So I would definitely go grab that. Um, I was using Succession and G-Horn, and we had another person with Succession. You could do a variety of other builds in terms of subclasses. You could have Titans with missiles, but basically you're going for like pretty hard DPS. You want to make sure to get those solid damage phases out. We almost two-phased it, but we chose to lower the damage output because we were doing so much. Orpheus Rig with Mobius Quiver is pretty much like doing a missile in terms of damage. My stat distribution looks pretty terrible here, but that's because I'm swapping my stuff around regularly, putting this on, and I never play with this chest piece. I just put it on to grab Rally the Flag, and I play with this chest piece that has the rainbow resist. But I covered all of that in a previous video, so you should already know what I'm talking about with my build on my Hunter. But what I would do is I would start with this, and I would end up finishing a variety of these little these hands right here. What are they called? The hands that spawn? What are they called? Vengeful
Abominations.
abominations. Okay. All right. So what we would do is I would have two people here. We would focus primarily on ad clear, and then they're going to go through the callouts. Um, Go ahead and go through that now, Dwayne. What you guys are doing on that side? The team of four.
At first, there's a crystal that spawns in the middle. One person shoots
Shoot
it,
that.
and then they stand on this middle plate.
It
It
gives you
is
the buff.
glowing, and it spawns two other crystals. It removes the buff from the first person and gives it to the other two.
So that
And
distributes
for
the
the
buff from
first,
1 to 2, and that buff is called Leeching Force, the first one. And you can distribute it to two. You go from one person having Leeching Force to two people having Leeching Force, and then on the first phase, what we were trying to do is then upgrade that buff from Leeching Force to Emanating Force. Now go ahead and with that.
yep. So you swap the buff to two people. Both people get hit by the boss's blast attack. You get emanating force.
And by his
You
blast
kill
attack,
your guys on the right,
he shoots
left.
he shoots an orange blast that looks like a tunnel, like right over our heads right here. When he shoots that orange blast, you're trying to get hit by it. You're letting the boss literally blast you with his orange juice in your face. That's what you're looking for. That you want that in and around your mouth. Okay, so look for the orange blast. Uh, both, and now go ahead, continue, Dwayne. Sorry if that distracted you.
So then, once you both get hit by the boss, you kill your left and your right glyph keepers, and then you do your symbols. You match up one of them. The person that did the first crystal is going to do the callouts because they can read the right side and they can see the symbols. Both people bank at whatever place there are, whether it's like close left, far right, or whatever.
There will be symbols
And
that
then
appear. So to clarify, you melt those glyph keepers really fast. There'll be symbols that appear up here and up here. One group will be able to see these. The other group will be able to see these. You'll find the commonality because one person will call them out. Then this person, like say I'm the person that doesn't have the buff, I will know which one it is because I'll find the one that they said that's in this group of three here. After I see that group of three, then I would call out where it is on these six totem pillars here. I'll be like front right, middle right, far right. See that? Front left, middle left, far left. And then I'll call out so that those two people can bank, and we would have those two people walk up, and they will literally be able to interact with these totems. They'll be able to walk past this orange barrier here that normally blocks you. You'll walk past it because you have the emanating force. It'll let you go through there and you bank that stuff. Go ahead now.
Yeah. So after you bank both the first emanating, then you just basically repeat the process. But instead of both people banking, only one will bank and the other will save the buff so that you can continue to trade it. Because if nobody has the leeching buff, then the boss spawns a crystal that no one can shoot and you wipe.
Yes, keep that in mind. That's a really big. That was a big problem for us. At times, we would end up not having someone that didn't have the leeching, or if two people had the leeching and then they got after the first phase, if the two people that have leeching got the emanating, then it would get wiped clean, and then no one would have it, and that would end up wiping us essentially, creating a crystal that we couldn't destroy. Obviously, with later on in time, we'll probably figure out a way around that or figure out the proper mechanics of that stuff. But that's how we got through to that part. And we ended up doing like three waves of that. Essentially, we would do the leeching and the emanating together, and then keeping a leeching 2 and 3, and then finishing all of the taken not the scorn hands in the middle there with aeons. So that way we have tons of power ammo, excess power ammo. And then as we approach and go up the stairs, that's when before we go upstairs, everyone would swap to this chest piece, pick up the power bricks on the ground. So that way we'd have tons of excess power. And then we'd get ready for damage, which is when I would put on my Orpheus rigs. And we're going to go into that area. When you go into that area, there's a similar mechanic to what we've been doing before, but you're going to shoot. He's going to slam down, and his sword, you'll have to shoot the sword that he slams down, and by shooting that, that will give the leeching buff to one of you. And then when you get the leeching buff, as you did before, you're going to let his orange blast hit you, and when it hits you, you then have to go to one of the four corners. Now, only the people that don't have the buffs are going to know which symbol pops up next to him, and they're going to let you know which corner to go to, or they can just let you know the symbol, and you can learn the pattern of the four corners because they never change. And then you just go to that symbol, and then you bank it. And then after you've banked that, he will then have four different armor pieces. He goes from shoulder to, I believe, hip to hip. Is that right? Hip, I believe.
Yeah, it's like hip or thigh.
It's like hip and thigh, and you destroy one at a time. Shoulder, hip, and hip. And once you've destroyed
The
four of
last
his
one
armor
is the
pieces,
tankiest.
yes, the last one seems to be much more tanky than the other ones. Once you've destroyed those four, that's what begins his damage phase about 10 seconds afterwards. It's really important during that time, if you have wells, if you have warlocks, put them on wells. Put two wells on separate sides of the map, so that way when he chases one, you can run to the other. You can keep those buffs going. You can have one person, actually, if one person is being chased by him, what the best thing we found was to keep his aggro on that person and allow him to chase them, so that way everyone else can do really good and really solid damage, and that person just sort of runs around scurrying around trying to keep the boss away from slamming the bubbles, slamming the wells, because he one hit kills all of those. After you've done all of that damage that you can possibly do, you want to pump as much. You want to do, Izzy, rocket, Gallhorn damage with the tether, missiles, etc. Then you go back down the stairs and you rinse and repeat. And you're gonna have to do it. You get 3 full damage phases. If your team's really badass, you could do it in 2, but I would recommend probably not, because that last damage phase at the very end of his health bar there is the craziest one you'll see here. He's got that little
Yeah,
damage
you're
break
looking to
down
hit
there.
around like 40%.
Yeah, he's got that little
Of his
damage phase.
actual bar, not including final stand.
So you get you get 3 full phases to get down to that little bar at the end there. You can see, and pull this over here. And when you get down to the end there, you have 10 seconds left. So you got to have rockets reloaded. What I was doing was I was making sure to have, we wiped there a couple times. A couple times we wiped there. I was making sure I had 2 rockets in my magazine and 2 rockets in reserves, and I had my tether saved for that, and I had my dodge ready to go, and I'm on the reload dodge. And so what I would do is as soon as we got to that stage right there, I would shoot my tether, all 3 tethers, and then I would shoot 2 rockets, and then I would dodge, and then shoot 2 more rockets, and I mean, barely beat it the first time, and even the second time. My screen was completely black. If you did get a class item, though, I would recommend this. A lot of my friends got class items throughout the encounter. If it's on solar, I don't know if it has to be on solar, but if it's on solar, there's
On
this.
anything.
It's on anything, I guess, as Dwayne says. Umbral Sharpening says, while you have several stacks of Pervading Darkness, you deal increased weapon damage. You probably got this coming up to this encounter, because a lot of people got this. Or if some of your teammates have this, tell them to put this on, because this will save you in that final damage phase. This will get you a little bit more damage and help you beat that. It only costs 2 and it's on the class item, so I would highly recommend at least putting that on. And best of luck to you out there. This is a really tough encounter. You got the extension of the time, and hopefully you found this guide helpful. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Later.